the companies or businesses that can make the bilateral agents and the like, they are going to make the biggest impact in our economy now and into the future. Especially to export, in which case they will generate huge sums of foreign exchange. And then those that are, you can call them employment generators. And finally, CSR makers.
Happy birthday, dear Minister. Happy birthday to you. Thank you so much. Please, let's just take a quick picture with him. This is lovely. 73 years on earth is a long time, and we are excited. The minister looks very much like 49 or 50. This is lovely. I'm sure every time he takes a look at this picture in his gallery, in his office or home, he will...
Engagement was to demonstrate to the Agric Minister how relevant the Agric space is connected to industry and how policy interventions and directions could help draw down the inflationary related issues or the macroeconomic difficulties. I keep repeating it that anytime you listen to the Bank of Ghana's monetary policy report, you see the trend of agriculture having significant influence on the inflationary basket. Whenever the government statistician does his trend analysis, you see how agriculture is very influential. However, when you engage the players in this space, they complain of lack of funding to drive the productivity base of agriculture to help address the inflationary issue. You realize that the minister's speech indicated how about 3.1% of loanable funds from the commercial banks went into agriculture, and he even disaggregated it to the extent that about 2+% goes into the cocoa purchasing. So therefore, the other space of agriculture is not necessarily being funded deliberately, and therefore we are not surprised to see its effect on the inflationary basket and the trend analysis on the government statisticians' work. And therefore the basket, consumer basket, that is used for the inflationary analysis is also affected. So whenever we engage the Bank of Ghana on monetary policy related issues, we look out for the trends that are the drivers. The agriculture space or the food basket is one relevant one. So our point is, how do we engage government and bring to the table a clear relationship between the agriculture ministry and industry? And the minister demonstrated how far he's gotten a lot of funding and has increased production. Beyond the production, that is the farm gate to the one district, one factory gate, there is a difficulty in financing of that value chain. So we needed to make a strong proposition to the business community, especially industry, that there's a lot of opportunities in that value chain. The next space is, how can the minister, through his influence in cabinet, influence the financial institutions to fund that space? And he made mention of tabling a bill through the cabinet down to parliament for about 10% of the commercial banks' loanable funds to go into such integrated space or the value chain. And once there's a breach and you hold a banking license, there are consequences like BOG. So we keep saying that these are the interventions that we are needed to help the Bank of Ghana attain its goals, such that the inflationary basket can be controlled, so that we keep using the word, what are the supply constraints? And today we see it in the inflationary rate, and we see it in the dynamics of the economic crisis we have in the world over. And if we focus on agriculture and do specific intervention of such and create the value chain, we believe we can lower it. And if you also go into the import bills and disaggregate the extent of agriculture import into the country, it's so alarming. And if we could tackle this space carefully and cautiously and deliberately, you will see how best we can lower the demand for the dollar. So you see how significant the agriculture space connects to the dollar, connects to the inflationary basket, and you can go on to see how it connects to the deficit position of the country. So it's a deliberate act to harmonize the engagement of the Agriculture Ministry with industry.
Now, let's talk about financing.
Their role as government agencies and officials is to focus on policy intervention, identifying the gaps, and this is what we sought to do clearly. And once they have identified, and he has identified it, and articulated and made a proposal to the president about it, we look forward to it materializing. He seeks to put it before Parliament. That is when the role of a group like the Nyonkudo that was part of us, we deliberately brought the mix of farmers. We brought the big companies like Unilever. You saw them doing their presentation. So we brought a mixed basket so that we could get all feed from every angle. So he addressed the concerns of the small-scale farmers and indicated that is why he seeks to bring in a legislation on farming and on the farm farming or the agriculture farming. Once that is done, the support will come to the small-scale farmers because he seeks to do it across board. So that when you have your 10 acre, when you have your 5 acre, once you can develop a business plan, we expect the banks with that legislative aspect to force them to support SMEs in farming, in agriculture, and same in the value chain, in the one district, one factory space to create the necessary food reserves for the country and lower inflation, lower the exchange rate.
Right, now let's talk about economic challenges. Guta have closed down their shops.
Interventions we do. So we realize that the AGI space has always been focused on a lot of scientific research. We do a lot of research on the economic dynamics, economic models. We read across the world what is working, and then we integrate it in our research and in our advocacy. So we try to do an evidence-based engagement. Our approach, and over the years has been so for the last over 60 years that we've been existing. We do our solid research, we make input into government's budget. And therefore, when we take it and we say, government, when you bring this policy, these are the ramifications on the space that you seek to tackle. And therefore, think through it this way, think of the option. When you do not, there'll be a flip side of every policy. Industry members can take the flip side if they just want to survive. But once you have capacity and you've sunk money, which is the sunk cost into the capex, we seek to add value. And that is what we are good at. So we will not take to the streets. The option of Guta, they have a prerogative to take that as a strategy, and they mention is that is their strategy. Our strategy is to create a forum like that, bring the relevant persons in, put the media on them, put their feet in the fire, ask them hard questions, and make them counter offers. And once they integrate it, that's how we build a nation. So that is our...
Thank you for watching Nation One TV. Kindly subscribe for more news updates.